Gita Jayanti we're celebrating 2 days. We are also celebrating on Saturday, which is December 18th. The program is going to be hybrid. It's going to be both online and in person in the temple. Prasadam will be served at the temple, and devotees will recite at the temple, or they can recite over Zoom. In the temple, we will be reciting all together in front of the deities, so it's going to be very auspicious. And of course, we will follow the CDC guidelines when we are in the temple. So it'll be a wonderful opportunity to read the entire Bhagavad Gita on December 18th. Humbly request all the devotees to come to the temple and also RSVP. With that, we will go to our next segment of the program. Hare Krishna, Satyasara Prabhu. Satyasara Prabhu would be introducing our guest speaker today.
Thank you, Veena Mataji. Hare Krishna devotees, thank you all for joining. So we have a very special speaker today. His Grace Parameshwar Prabhu, a senior brahmachari and a traveling book distributor. On behalf of Hare Krishna Temple of Austin, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to you, Prabhu, for giving us your holy association this evening on this auspicious day of Gita Jayanti. So, devotees, here is a brief introduction of Prabhu. So, His Grace Parameshwar Prabhu is a disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj. He has been practicing Krishna consciousness for over 23 years. He's a top book distributor as well in North America. And amazingly, he has distributed over 500,000 books so far. To be precise, 650,000 Srila Prabhupada books. And this year alone, Prabhu has distributed 65,000 books. You can see the amount of purity one should have to distribute this many books of Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhu leads a very, very renounced life filled with devotional service and exemplary sadhana. So without sadhana, you cannot distribute this many books. And academically also is well qualified. He holds master's degree in engineering. So this is a very short introduction. As you can understand, he's so humble. So he gave me a very, very short blurb. So we are going to hear from Prabhu today. He's going to talk about the glories of Bhagavad Gita. And he's going to also share how to share this valuable science, spiritual science with others. So with that, let us welcome His Grace Parameshwar Prabhu by loudly chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra one time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Over to you, Parameshwar Prabhu. Prabhu, you are muted, Prabhu. Not unmute. Please try to unmute now.
Oh, it just did. It just worked. Now you can hear me?
Yes, we are able to hear you.
Okay. Sorry about that. It was locked or something. The mute button was. My apologies. Hare Krishna, Om Gyan Tamranda Svajananjana Shalakya Chakshur Tamil Tasmai Shri Guru Shri Chaitanya Vistam Stapitamil Vikila Slavim Pagana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Bhuchananda Shri Vegarar Shri Sagar Bhuvana Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, there's a billion. I'm honored. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak about the glories of Bhagavad Gita. It's good for me to think about such things. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be with you all. Prabhu here, Abhay Charan Prabhu and his wife and so forth and so on are making me feel like a duck amidst many swans. So please forgive me of my inadequacies. In summary, Bhagavad Gita, imagine life without Bhagavad Gita is a good way to think about the glories of the Bhagavad Gita. We see, let's say at least outside of India primarily, back in before Prabhupada arrived, how life was around 1965, was about when I was born. People's ideas were really messed up. And I mean, there was some nice Christian influence and a variety of other different influences that had some benefits. But as far as really being able to understand the science of Krishna consciousness, the science of God, the science of how to relink, the science of yoga, to connect with God, to have a deep understanding of that, we just didn't have it. And for generations, it didn't exist. Which is really amazingly sad. And we see all the problems that happen from without the Bhagavad Gita around. At least, that has been presented to people. Of course, Prabhupada brought us the real Bhagavad Gita. And even, no offense to India, but, even in India, I mean, I meet so many people that they say from India, they've never even read Bhagavad Gita. Or they've read maybe some weird version of it, and they have some ideas that aren't definitely from Bhagavad Gita as it is. And all these misunderstandings really just root in one thing, and that's ignorance. So the solution, the root cause of all of our problems is ignorance, just not knowing. In fact, I distribute books constantly to everybody I meet just doesn't know. And they don't have the knowledge. So without that knowledge, you can just see the troubles. It's so traumatic. It's so traumatic that people don't even want to be conscious of their trauma. And I remember life before I read Bhagavad Gita as it is. The suffering was incredible. I mean, beyond incredible. So severe, mental trouble and physical trouble follows as well. So extremely sad situation. I remember going to the bookstores, trying to figure it out, going to libraries, reading Plato, reading this, studying this philosophy, psychology, whatever, trying to get some knowledge. It just doesn't exist at the university level, real knowledge. And you scour the used bookstores under the spiritual section, you get so many different varieties of books out there talking about, it's all about the void, it's all about impersonal Brahman, it's all about whatever, but rarely do you find anything leading you to a path that is, resolves everything in your mind. Which without doing that, we don't have peace. There's no peace of mind. There's no action that is really progressive in the world. So we see millenniums going on without that, and the problems, the inquisitions, the murders, religious murders. There's so many troubles left and right, all due to the bodily conception of life. Whether we think that we are this particular race, or from this particular country, or this particular religion, all rooted on ignorance, misidentifying the self with some relation with the body. So the solution, of course, being knowledge. And what is this knowledge? This knowledge is definitely not like knowledge you get at a university, spent 7.5 years there, full-time study, and that does not exist any knowledge, no real knowledge. In fact, teachers don't even know what an education is. I got my first degree in education, so that, they still, I was like Sanatana Goswami when he met Lord Chaitanya, People call me a scholar, but not that I was a scholar, but still, I'm supposed to be educated because here I am as an educator. But honestly, I don't even know who I am. I don't know what an education is. And, it's a very difficult place to get to because we think or at least society says that we're definitely somebody, and we have this job as an educator, but we don't even know what an education is. We have to be humble, and that's why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 12:8-12 that this is what knowledge is: humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, and self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease. And I spoke earlier about the suffering that's going on, that I experienced radically before I read Bhagavad Gita as it is. The perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, non-attachment to children, wife, home, and the rest, and even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant unalloyed devotion to me, resorting to solitary places, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization, and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these I thus declare to be knowledge, and what is contrary to these is ignorance. So the purport here, this process of knowledge is sometimes misunderstood by less intelligent men as being the interaction of the field of activity. So this is what you get in university life, the interaction of the field of activity. We're going to, by manipulating these material elements around, we're going to progress, which is really basically what less intelligent people think. This is a serious misunderstanding. How have we progressed? We have so many troubles from our so-called progression. It's probably, if you look at the, happiness and distress, we can't alter. But we can become transcendental to happiness and distress. But actually, this is the real process of knowledge, this verse. If one accepts this process, then the possibility of approaching the absolute truth exists. This is not the interaction of the tenfold elements as described before. This is actually the means to get out of it. So, university life, you learn how to adjust material elements, how to make a nice iPhone 14 or whatever, but it's supposedly going to make you more happy. But this is not knowledge. This is information. But knowledge is how to extract ourselves as spirit, entrapped in these material bodies, how to get back to the spiritual world, where we no longer are in the prison of the material dimension. That is knowledge. And to admit that, like Sanatana Goswami was at with Lord Chaitanya, that I don't know who I am. I don't even know who I am. I don't know what an education is. And then Lord Chaitanya summarizes Veda. Veda is knowledge. Veda is unborn. 614, the Yamadutas are explaining to the Vishnu Dutas, because the Vishnu Dutas asked the Yamadutas, it seems a little strange, you're taking Ajamil to hell, or to see Yamaraj, and he's not a candidate for that, so we're questioning you now on religious principles. And the Yamadutas to say that that which is prescribed in the Vedas constitute religious principles. That which is contrary to that is, or opposite to that, is irreligion. The Vedas are non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead and are unborn. So the Vedas is unborn. It's not even something Krishna created or manufactured. It's unmanufactured, is unborn, is eternal. So this is what we have also within our heart, this knowledge. So the summary that Lord Chaitanya teaches, Sanatana Goswami, is, Prayojana, Avideya. I'm getting that messed up. Oh gosh, got a blank here. Anyways, understanding our relationships. So this is another example of what we get when we don't have knowledge. the understanding relationships. What is it? Who are we? That we are spirit. That we are not these bodies. That we are. And what is the controller? What is the relationship between God, the controller of both spirit and matter, in relation with the spirit self, the jiva, and the material energy? So when people don't have that knowledge, they don't have this relationship. What's that? Volume too low?
Slightly. Let's try this.
Okay. We're increasing volume. Did you hear anything?
I could hear.
Barely.
It's
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Put that in there. Is this the mic? Sorry, we're working on volume.
No problem, Prabhu.
Could you hear what I was sharing though, or not so much?
We were able to hear you, but at some point the volume goes.
Is this better here?
Oh, much better.
Like this?
Yes, please.
What do you have to hear?
I think we. Radha Prabhu, can you just do a kirtan, Prabhu, short kirtan?
Yes, Prabhu.
All opportunity.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Back to you.
Sorry, computer crashed. That's so nice. The devotees, they're always blissful. Nothing materially can affect them. Like even big traffic jams, no problem. Just chant Hare Krishna. No big deal. Got our sadhana to do. Thank you for that nice chanting, Prabhu. Okay, let me know, just maybe, I don't know. I'll have to speak up real loud. If it gets too low, maybe somebody could somehow let me know.
I will let you know, Prabhuji.
Okay. So yeah, we got Sambandha and Abhadeya and Prayojana. So this knowledge, nothing is more sublime than knowledge. Knowledge is the highest achievement in life. The verse from the Gita, Bhagavatam. Only with knowledge can we cross the ocean of repeated birth and death. So we have to have knowledge. And Krishna is so kind. I was thinking earlier today, what matters to me most? What I thought to myself, what is the most beautiful thing in the world? Of course, it's Krishna. But on like a personal maybe note, I had the feeling like what means most, what's most beautiful to me is that Krishna actually loves me. And that's all I need. Of course, I need to love him back. But he comes down. He doesn't have to, but he gives us this knowledge. It's the highest achievement in life. There's nothing greater than knowledge. And Bhagavad Gita is the summary of all knowledge. This knowledge, going back to what life is like without, where I left off, without knowledge, is we have people with a misunderstanding of their relationships. They either think they are material nature, that they are this body, or they think God is material nature, or they think they are God, or a variety of different misunderstandings without this sambandha, gyan, that we get from Bhagavad Gita, summary of it. And Abhadeya, okay, there's me, there's Krishna, there's material nature. Okay, well, still, how do we link up with Krishna? And again, Bhagavad Gita gives us this 1855. One can understand me as I am, as a supreme personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. So this is the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. If we're going to go for one thing, the best thing to go for is devotional service. Right? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching, wrote only 8 verses, one of them being, my only prayer is to remain a pure devotee at your lotus feet, birth after birth. So it's praying for pure devotion, no service, solution. And the goal, it's amazing how many people don't know the goal that are within these faiths. They don't know the goal. They're caught up on some other conception, whether it be salvation, or whether it be just being saved from going to hell, or converting everybody to what? What are we even converting each other to? These misunderstandings, and the conclusion is of Bhagavad Gita and of knowledge is pure love for Krishna, the only thing that will satiate the soul. So this is knowledge, the benefits to knowledge. Only with knowledge can we cross the ocean of birth and death. And without not knowledge, we are completely messed up. Some other nice, of course, every verse is nice in Bhagavad Gita, but in relation to this, chapter 4, I lost my place. Chapter 4, 36-ish. Yeah. Even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries. So being situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, this solves our problems. Proper understanding of one's constitutional position in relationship to Krishna is so nice that it can at once lift one from the struggle for existence, which goes on in the ocean of nescience. This material world is sometimes regarded as an ocean of nescience and sometimes as a blazing forest. In the ocean, however expert a swimmer one may be, the struggle for existence is very severe. Someone comes forward and lifts the struggling swimmer from the ocean. He is the greatest savior. Perfect knowledge received from the Supreme Personality Godhead is the path of liberation. The abode of Krishna consciousness is very simple, at the same time the most sublime. So Vyasadeva, the literary incarnation of Krishna, gives us so much knowledge, and then he summarizes all that knowledge, and that summary is Bhagavad Gita, all central knowledge. The entire Mahabharata is described as like a candy around the medicine. So the whole Mahabharata was written just so people could get the medicine, Bhagavad Gita. Text 37, as a blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions to material activities. Perfect knowledge of self and super self and of their relationship is compared here into fire. This fire not only burns up all reactions to impious activities, but also reactions to pious activities, turning them to ashes. So we burn up our karmic experience here. In this world, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism, and one who has achieved this knowledge, one who has achieved this knowledge, the self within himself, and one who has achieved this knowledge. I'm reading the old other version in my mind because I've read that so many times. This older version though states, and one who has achieved this enjoys the self within himself in due course of time. So when we speak of transcendental knowledge, we do so in terms of spiritual understanding. As such, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Ignorance is the cause of our bondage, and knowledge is the cause of our liberation. This knowledge is the mature fruit of devotional service, and when one is situated in transcendental knowledge, he need not search for peace elsewhere, for he enjoys peace within himself. In other words, this knowledge and peace are culminated in Krishna consciousness. That is the last word in the Bhagavad Gita. So I can remember my life with Bhagavad Gita and without. I remember dropping out of society and living in this cheapest place to live where I can just focus on figuring things out, and fasting a lot and things of that nature. And I recall having I wasn't into drugs, so this wasn't drug induced. I had an out-of-body experience. And before that was really far out as well. And after that was really far out. And then after that time my conceptions of who I was shattered. I realized that I'm not the body, but I didn't maybe know much after that. So I started actually spiritual masters. I started seeking spiritual masters, I guess, but they also came to me. That same morning after that out-of-body experience, somebody knocked on the door and just held my hands and started teaching me all this stuff. And I was going, what the heck's going on? He says, well, when the student is ready, the master is here. So that was really strange. And I met other spiritual masters, different kinds, different levels of realization. And I got like an initiation with a Siddha Guru, and I read their Bhagavad Gita. And once I read it, I felt so connected. Honestly, I don't even know if I really read the words, but it stated at the very beginning that if you read this the Bhagavad Gita every day, you'll attain the highest state. So I read that sometimes 7 times a day. And I got so absorbed in it that and I would just meditate and read Bhagavad Gita, somehow do my studies. And then I moved to their ashram in New York. But I've been very naive most of my life, and I maybe shared some information with the leaders there, and they thought I was a little crazy. And maybe I was, maybe I wasn't, I don't know. But they decided for me to go elsewhere. And I told them, there's no place else for me to go, because when they would chant Om Namah Shivaya, I would chant Hare Krishna. And I didn't know why. I would actually try to chant Om Namah Shivaya, but out of my mouth would come Hare Krishna. So they said, well, you got it. And so they told me, you better, I think this isn't your place. So I said, well, the only other place I have is the Hare Krishnas. So they said, yes, that's where you belong. So then I moved into the Hare Krishnas, and then I really needed to figure things out. I wanted to know what the gurus know, because all these different gurus are saying different things, maybe not contradictory, but not a complete picture, I felt. So I needed to know that complete picture. And I remember my first day there at the Hare Krishna place in Tucson temple. They told me, well, you can stay here, but you have to chant 16 rounds. And I was like, wow, fantastic. I love chanting Hare Krishna. So, and then I decided to read the Bhagavad Gita. I couldn't put it down when I first read it. I mean, I'm not here to brag or anything. I think I read it in 2 or 3 days. I could not move away from reading it. I remember using the restroom. I probably rested at 2 hours a night, is my guess, because I had to do the morning program. And I would just read it, and it all just made perfect, complete sense. I mean, it was just exactly, it just put all the pieces of the puzzle perfectly together. It was completely magical, and it was complete. It was like as if that book was written just for me and my state of consciousness that I was in then. And it was easily absorbable. I felt like I really grasped it. I mean, I'm not saying I perfected the understanding of the Bhagavad Gita, but it went right into my heart. And I remember getting to the point, realizing that, okay, pleasing Krishna is really the goal of life. So then when I read, that person who presents this knowledge to the devotees, no one is more dear, nor in the future will there anyone be more dear. So that I remember wondering what that meant. So I asked my temple president, what does this mean? And he said, oh, that means book distribution. So I just simply got up and went to the book room and got some books and went out and started distributing them. They probably thought I was kind of crazy, considering, I don't know, I was pretty aloof to everything, but that's just where I was at. And, but hey, it worked out. And I remember even the value of the books. I was a bloop devotee. I don't know if you know what bloop means, when you join and you fall out. So the 4.5 years earlier than that time, I moved into a Hare Krishna temple. There was problems in one of them, so I moved to another one. But I recognized the value of the books, although I barely read any of it. I wasn't into reading. And but when I moved into that ashram, without asking if I could show up or anything, I put the books all over my body, like a blanket, to knowing the power of them. It would like keep me from, keep me connected, I felt, just touching the books. Later, much later, I think that they kicked me out. I thought maybe, I asked if I could distribute books then, and they wouldn't let me. I don't know, whatever. And for whatever reason, anyway, I decided that maybe I should just go back to school and bring in some money and help spread the movement that way. But after reading Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, I was like, this book has to be distributed. This is it. So, yeah. So I just made that my mission. And it's worked out fabulously. And I think the conclusion of, the value, since this is so valuable, it literally is the highest achievement in life. It is, nothing is more sublime. Nothing here we have. In this world, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. It's the king of education, right? 9.2 Bhagavad Gita. As the secret of all secrets, this people need to know. this is the solution, the panacea for all the problems of the world. And we see people that are reading it, taking it up, as I'm sure you all have. And that's probably how you are where you are now today. We see the benefits to it. We also see the benefits to distributing Bhagavad Gita. I don't know if anybody knows Ananda Kirtan. He's in Los Angeles. He found a Perfection Yoga on the street, and he picked it up and read it. And that led him to the temple. It's filled with the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, quotes from Bhagavad Gita. And he's distributed about 200,000 literatures just by that. So many others. I remember giving these books to Brajananda. I don't know if you know him. He's distributed probably over 100,000. So we see the benefits to distributing the books. People pick them up and also distribute them because they see the value of it. I've even met people that have never met devotees that are buying books from the BBT and distributing them. So amazing opportunities we have to advance others and ourselves in Krishna consciousness by also distributing Bhagavad Gita. I mean, if it is what it says it is, and it definitely is that, if we give it a chance, I'm sure you all have, and you know more than me. So I'm not here to play a role of a teacher with you exalted personalities, but we see the value of it, the transformation that takes place when people have it. We see that it has all the answers. So we see the world a complete mess simply because they don't have Bhagavad Gita. That's really no other reason why it's a mess. It's the root of all the problems is people don't have Prabhupada's books. Bhagavad Gita being the most essence of it all. In fact, a couple verses later, Prabhupada states, well, I'll just read those two verses. A faithful man who is absorbed in transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses quickly attains his supreme spiritual peace. But ignorant and faithless persons who doubt the revealed scriptures do not attain God consciousness. For the doubting soul, there is neither happiness in this world nor in the next. Purport states, out of many standard and authoritative revealed scriptures, the Bhagavad Gita is the best. So, yeah, one who follows the instructions of the Gita, as is imparted by the Lord, personality Godhead himself, becomes free from all doubts by the grace of transcendental knowledge. He, as a part and parcel of the Lord in full Krishna consciousness, is already established in self-knowledge. As such, he is undoubtedly above bondage to action. Therefore, the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. Armed with yoga, O Bharat, stand and fight. So, yeah, with knowledge, now we can do something. Before we had knowledge, we were just spinning our wheels, just wasting the human form of life. And with knowledge, it's like our wheels hit the ground, traction starts taking place. And this traction or attraction, attracts us, or we gain traction towards the all-attractive Sri Krishna, which is the real progress of human life. So we want, and the neat thing about this is the more we give Krishna consciousness to others, the more we get Krishna consciousness. So the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita is to become dear to Krishna. And that most effective way, according to my temple president back in the day, is distributing books. Of course, there's many ways to spread Krishna consciousness, many ways to give people the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. But at the same time, Prabhupada said many, 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 many times that book distribution is the most important activity. We see the rapid advancement of Krishna consciousness, of people gaining an understanding of real progressive life, traction towards Krishna, takes place, big transformation. So I'll stop there. I don't even know what time it is. What time do we stop usually? 8 o'clock or 8:15?
I mean, it's up to you, Prabhu. We can go till 8:15, or if you want to stop here and have a Q&A, we can do that as well.
I think Q&A would be wonderful. Love to hear from you all. Great souls. Or comments, please. Sharing realizations. It's an incredible day. And yeah.
Hare Krishna devotees, you can unmute and ask questions, or you can type it in a chat window and I can read it out as well.
Was the volume a little better there?
Better, much better.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Paramesh Prabhu. Thank you for the wonderful class. You mentioned about your out-of-body experience. Is that something which you can elaborate on that, Prabhuji?
You know, I've had, I mean, not to brag or anything, but even as a kid growing up and everything, I've had a lot of far out spiritual experiences. But I've been told that I'm not supposed to share them. But then other people say I should share them to increase faith in the process. But this is before I even heard the name Krishna. Maybe I've heard the name Krishna once or twice before, but had no understanding of what God looked like and so forth and so on. But I remember having this, I was on my 7th day of fasting. I usually do a 10-day fast. And I remember seeing a television in my room. I guess Prabhupada called that the television in the heart. It was just like a regular TV. And there was a character in there doing far out stuff. Really far out stuff, really captivated me. And like I thought it was I thought there was a TV in my room and I'm watching cartoons or something like that. It was really, 7th day of fasting, and it was late at night. Wasn't at all sleepy. And then the character in the TV said, up until then it was like watching a cartoon, some animated character doing far out things. But then the animated character turned to me and looked straight at me. I'm like, oh my God, this is not a regular TV. And he says, and now for something really interesting. And then I left. I moved towards the corner of the room, upper corner of the room, thinking, yikes, I'm gonna hit the walls. And then I go through the walls and I go over Tucson where I was at, and I could see all the cars and everything. There was 2 things following me. They just looked like t-shirts or something. I couldn't figure out what they were. And then I remember getting scared, and then I went back into my body. And then I couldn't sleep. And then I think I dozed off by the end of the night. And then next morning, there's a knock on the door, and there's this guy. He opened the door, and right away he doesn't say anything. He just grabs my hands. I'm like, what's going on? And he starts talking to me all about astral travel and things like that. And I'm like, what the world? And anyway, it got far out from there as well. But I probably shouldn't have shared too much of that or any of that. I don't know. Maybe, hopefully Krishna won't kill me early or anything. But yeah, that was far out. And then I started meeting other people that have had experiences, and they encouraged me to go see a guru. And I met, I walked into this, it was an initiation. Somebody told me to go to this, and you're supposed to spend 2 years practicing their program before you get initiated. And I just walked into it, and they initiated me, and I remember the energy being so intense. And so then I started practicing, studying under that guru. That was a real siddha. I had some far out experiences there too, and on and on. And just, I was living with a Sikh ashram, and I realized at some point that seva, serving, I didn't understand devotional service to Krishna at that point, but I learned from my mother because I was depressed. And my mom said, do something nice for others and you'll become okay. So I started to do that, and magnifying that, starting serving gurus, felt like it was magnified even more. And then I got to a point where I realized I just want to be an instrument to help. And at that point, I remember having this scary experience where I realized that this universe is all dark. And I was really scared because up until then, I don't know, I didn't understand. And so I remember this verse in the Bible, and it said, knock and he will answer. So I knocked on the wood right next to me, and all of a sudden the phone rang, and I picked up the phone, and my sister never calls me, but she didn't even say hi or anything. She just said my name, and then said, I just want to let you know that God is telling me to tell you that now it's time for you just to serve God. And when she said that, I went, yes, that's the solution, serving God. Up until then, I didn't understand, couldn't figure it out. But I guess I elevated my consciousness enough to realize that that's the highest service, is serving God. And I knew that from childhood, from teenage life, that that's where it's at, but somehow I forgot or whatever. So then at that point, the Sikh ashram person comes up to me the next morning, because we do Kundalini yoga every morning. And she said, I'm sorry, we got to double your rent. And it was a Sunday, and every Sunday night I go to the Hare Krishnas for their kirtan and feasts. So then I went there, and they said, well, you're always coming around. Why don't you just move in? So it was just interesting how Krishna just guided the whole transition. Really, really ecstatic. Really, really blissful time. Hope that was okay sharing all that.
Thank you for a wonderful story. Very amazing.
So Prabhu, we have two hands raised. We'll go with Pushpanjali Mataji first, then Abhay Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences. For me, I have realized that I need to read Bhagavad Gita to be able to distribute. Prabhuji, in earlier times, one common thing that I encountered while distributing Bhagavad Gita was when people, especially people who have faith in Jesus Christ, they say, oh, Bible is all I need. And sometimes I'm just dumbfounded how to attract their attention or what to tell them so it does not contradict their faith, but supplements it. So if you could give any, your personal experience or insights on, how to approach them, that like we are not trying to do something related to Hinduism, or this is not sectarian book, but what is it that will, reach them more? So if you could guide me, thank you.
Okay. This is 8 billion people or whatever number of people out there. So when I meet somebody that tells me Bible is all I need, I'm honored that somebody could actually have that much faith. And I feel like I just let them go because, I don't want to mess that up. They have so much love for Jesus and the Bible. That's beautiful. I don't want to mess that up. If they don't seem receptive, I don't push it at all. There's just 8 billion more people to talk to. So I just think honestly that that's so beautiful, and I let them know that. Would you, like glorify it, and then maybe just say, would you like a free sample book? We want you to stick with Christ. He's perfect. That's a nice, they'll appreciate that. Prabhupada said that. We want you to stick with Christ. We don't want to change. I don't want to change your faith. Would you like a sample small book? Just check it out. If they say no problem. I don't push it at all. I give them a chance, gentle chance, and glorify their wonderful consciousness, because that is really beautiful. The Bible, as we know, Sankarshan Das Adhikari Prabhu, he came a long ways with the Bible, and so did I. I remember going to college, looking at my options my freshman year of what to study. I didn't like any of them, but I was reading the Bible and I thought, like, these disciples, are having a lot more fun. I think that would be a better way to go. So I remember having that desire to become like a disciple of a saintly being. So yeah, but a lot of people, they come up and they say, oh, I'm a Christian. That's the response. Oh, I'm a Christian. And then I just let them know, just like you were thinking, yeah, well, this is just knowledge. We don't make a religion out of it. This is just knowledge. And they go, oh, it's just knowledge. Oh, okay. Yeah, we don't want to change your faith. It's nothing to do with the faith. And some people think it's Hindu. I would imagine with the Indian body, you're distributing Bhagavad Gita, maybe they're lumping it in with Hindu at that point. So if that's the situation, non-Indian body, I get that sometimes. People think it's Hindu. Oh, is this Hindu? And I go, no, this is the Vedas. So that really helps everything, because we're not Hindu, we're not Christian, we're not Buddhist. We have the Vedas. Knowledge is all we need. We don't need faith, sectarian faith. So, and faith is that which Papa describes faith in the purport in Bhagavad Gita as I perform my devotional service to Krishna, I attain all perfection. So that's faith. So we have faith, but we don't have a faith. A faith right away means something is wrong. Sectarianism is a stumbling block on the path. There is nothing new. Krishna has already given us everything. There's nothing new. When something new comes along, immediately we should note that this is something wrong. So I let them know this is just knowledge, not a faith, just like you're thinking. And there's definitely some that you can break through. That are a little more. Prabhupada says broad-mindedness is a sign of spiritual advancement. But at the same time, people that are they found something that works, they don't want to mess it up. Like, honestly, I won't read their books. I'm just going to read Prabhupada's books. Even other devotees' books, honestly, I just read Prabhupada's books. I mean, there's nice other books out there for sure, but I mean, Prabhupada's books have totally worked for me. So I can relate with that. So I don't want to mess up their program at all. But definitely letting them know, if they think it's Hindu, no, it's not a religion. Don't want to change your faith. It's just knowledge. Now, if for those you meet those that are ready for it, what I share, if you feel like you can make, if you can always experiment with it gently or not gently. I let them know, like, this is like, I got the word of God. Well, the word of God is what God spoke or wrote. And so God actually spoke this and wrote this, not through another person, because we have defects and God doesn't. So God summarizes all knowledge in this book. Some people with that kind of more heavy approach, but respectful, heavy approach, that actually can work. Yeah, it's worth experimenting with. At least they walk away going, I guess there's more to life than what I thought earlier about what our options are with books to read. They just think only the Bible. So, but at that point, you got to be willing to debate a little bit, perhaps. But don't worry if you're not that good at debating. You can just say, I just don't know enough about it, but I do know that. And they respect that. Always being honest with what we know and what we don't know. Everybody respects that. Is that okay? But
beautiful, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Very practical words. Very practical.
The main thing is just stating this is knowledge. It's not a religion. This is knowledge. Just knowledge. Just knowledge. It's on yoga, meditation. And yoga meaning to connect. Yeah. And a lot of broad-minded Christians will be receptive. But there's plenty that won't. Just like you got an exam and you don't get stuck on that fifth question that it's going to take you a half hour to maybe get right when you only have 45 minutes to do the exam. So I wouldn't spend too much time with people that look like they're going to. Also, the people don't spend too much time with the people that start asking you all these questions, like, oh, where are you from? All this. And So what I let them know, when somebody's talking to me for more than like 30 seconds, like a red flag goes up in my head and I then ask the question, would you like a book? Are you interested in getting a book? And if they say no, then I just politely say, well, I want to distribute the books. I don't want to read the books. Thank you for your time. Because they want to convert you. They could care less what you have to say. They won't hear a word you have to say, but they want to convert you to Christianity. So both things to consider. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Tandukna.
Prabhu. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble homage as Guru Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for the amazing class and sharing for your experiences. I have heard from you earlier, and always very amazing experiences. Prabhu, I'm wondering if you could share, a couple of your most amazing book distribution experiences with us. I know I heard some before, but I would really like you to share it again, and just kind of like how like sometimes you think things are not working your way, but then Krishna somehow interjects, and then things starts going the way you want them to. So if you could share some experiences, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, one thing that'll glorify the Bhagavad Gita is as at the airport. This doesn't refer to your last half of your request, but the first half does, and it glorifies Bhagavad Gita. I was at the airport, and how sometimes you just connect with people without eyesight, or you just have that connection from just subtle radars on, and they got theirs on. And we just picked up that energy from afar, and I just walked straight to him, not saying anything. And you could tell he's kind of like flipping out, like what in the world is about to happen? And no words were said. I just literally just handed him the Bhagavad Gita. I didn't say anything. It's one of those special interactions. And he's touching, it was at LA airport, and he's touching the pillar that he's next to, touching other things, touching the book, and flipping out. And I just said, yeah, you're holding God. And he just like lost it. And he knew that he was holding God. He was trying to figure out the energy from this book was completely blowing his mind. And he was trying to figure out, is this from the vibration from the cars on the wall? He's trying to figure, where's this vibration coming from? Then when he realized it was the book, then I said, yeah, that you're holding God. And yeah, that was far out. Also at the LA Ratha Yatra, you have Christians in cow suits with big banners that say, this is a cult, and don't be an idiot, eat the cow, and all this very offensive Christian preachers yelling microphones and disturbing everything greatly. And I was really new, but I knew the power of these books. All I did was, as I went, there was a bunch of them. All I did was go over to the leader and touch it with his arm for just a little bit. He just was like, I don't know, he just wasn't afraid or anything, didn't react. He was just like actually appreciating it or something. It was really strange. And then that's all I did. I might have offered him. No, I don't think. I just think that's all he could handle. And all of a sudden, the energy just went from his raging, went to like, and then he's like completely lost steam. And then he went over his buddies, and they just finished. Just from that, touching the Bhagavad Gita, somebody's body. The power of these books is unbelievable. As far as Krishna always helping out, Shastra Krit Prabhu, one of my old friends, he distributes books in Atlanta. I just read one of his things on social media that I thought was really funny. He said he came out, set up his table and everything. He realized he forgot the table. And oh man, so he was in front of, I think he goes to probably Patel Brothers or something. And he puts his stuff in a shopping cart. and nobody, it's not working. It's cold out, raining, or whatever he said. I can't remember the details. And he went inside for a moment. And when he came back out, he noticed that some books were gone, and he looked in the donation box and there's $100 bill in there. So, I mean, Krishna has his ways. One time I was not an effective book distributor in New York City. Me in big cities I'm a country boy. And I was trying to distribute books, not effective at all. I have a big suitcase full of books there. And I'm talking to somebody trying to distribute books. I turn around, the suitcase is gone. I'm like, oh no. So then all of a sudden I see this guy walking by me with one of the books. I'm like, where'd you get these books from? Oh, this gal up there is distributing them. So I run up that way and I see this gal and I go, I like a lot of the books. Where are all of them? Because she just had a few of them and that suitcase was packed. And she says, oh yeah, come with me. And there's only a few left. I mean, that probably took 20 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. And that was a lot of books. I mean, enormous amount of books. So in 20 minutes, she distributed almost all the books. So she showed me where the others were. And I said, well, these are my books, you know. She's just a crack lady looking for some crack money. And she even sold the suitcase for $0.25. But she made a decent amount of money distributing these books. She ran away. So, you know, Krishna has his way of humbling us. I remember one time distributing books and it was very cold. I was thinking how awesome I was going out and distributing books. And it was sleeting. It was very cold, if not slightly sleeting or something like that. And I was going, wow, I'm so awesome and austere distributing these books. And this guy comes to me in a t-shirt, no umbrella. I had an umbrella, super amazing gloves and Gore-Tex shoes and, you know, all that decked out. He had a t-shirt on and barefoot. And I approached him and I offered him the books. And I go, man, aren't you a little cold? He says, yes, I think it's good to become humble this way by going out in the, you know, going barefoot. It helps me become more humble because I'm such a non-humble person, but this helps me become humble. I do this regularly. And I'm so sorry, I really have no money. But the guy was so nice and obviously has special qualities. Said, no, you can just give whatever you want. It's okay. He's like, look, you don't understand. I haven't eaten in long, you know, and I barely function, you know, off of what I have. I don't have any money. And I'm like, that's okay. You can give 1 penny or more. So he gave me $35. This is 15 years ago. And that's like $50 today. And he says, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. This is all I have. And I thought, wow. I mean, Krishna is the equalizer. If we're puffed up, he'll unpuff us. If we're unpuffed, this is one thing. A lot of people don't want to go out and distribute because they feel so insecure. Every time I feel insecure, I know it's going to be a great day. So, because Krishna's the equalizer. Every time. And I remember crying. I think I was crying. I was getting smashed so bad. No books were going out. I was hurting so bad. That when one guy, I just kind of gave up. I just said, Krishna, I can't do this. I'm useless. And all of a sudden, this guy comes up to me and goes, oh, you got the Bhagavad Gita? And I said, don't mess with me, man, because I figured Krishna is going to mess with me, you know. You're going to say you want the Gita, and then you're going to run away, and you're not interested, or whatever. So I'm like, I just told him, don't mess with me, man. Don't mess with me right now. I can't handle anymore. So and I'm like quivering and maybe crying. And he grabs the book out of my hand. And then I'm like, look, man, just don't mess with me with donation stuff, you know, because Krishna would do like, well, here's some money. Oh, wait, I can't get, you know, like that kind of thing all day long. So I just started quivering and crying. And then all of a sudden he just puts the $20 bill in my pocket and walks away. So Krishna has his ways. I remember another time I was distributing, I got fed up and I said, Krishna, no books go out today at all, guaranteed. It's not going to happen. And then this guy who just told me no, stops in his tracks immediately. I did not say this out loud. He stopped. The second I said that out in my mind, he stops immediately, turns around and goes, "How much?" And he gave me a big donation, took all the books. And then I thought, oh, this is how you distribute books. You go, Krishna, no way. So I tried it again. Krishna, no way any books are going to go out to this. I tried. And then the same thing happened, but not as quick. And that didn't happen after that. So Krishna is definitely the doer, and he'll give us exactly what we need. And this book distribution, not that I'm humble, but it does. Prabhupada says we have to become humble to enter the kingdom of God. So this is so important, this activity, because Krishna does purify us by doing this activity. I don't know if anybody's met Chakri Prabhu in St. Louis. He's been distributing books for his whole life, still doing it at age 70, whatever, and doing it well. And he's so humble. You know, he can kind of like poke people's false ego space barrier. He doesn't have one. He doesn't even have one. It's an amazing person. Anyway, the benefit of sharing this with others, right? Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 12, 13, 14, you know, that person who is kind to all living entities, he is dear to me. He's very dear to me. So why are we caring about ourselves more than that person across the street? That's going to keep us from entering the kingdom of God. That caring about us more than that person across the street. So caring equally, we're part of everything, and they are also. So seeing that with equal vision, giving equal care to ourselves and others is really an important step. Okay, I think I went over time. I'm happy to answer more questions and do this all night long. Well, probably not that long, but you know, you might have your barriers.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. So we would like to give you a thank you note, Kannan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for such a wonderful class. You know, I would like to cover some of the points. It's truly inspirational for me, and also, you know, whoever is listening to this class. You first covered that, you know, the spiritual knowledge is the highest, and this knowledge is the only knowledge help us cross the ocean of birth and death. And then, you know, you cover that, you know, if we love Krishna, then Krishna gives us enough knowledge to go back to him. Such a nice point, Prabhuji. I really like that. And then, you know, you also explained that, you know, the link between the me, Krishna, and material, you know, the devotional service is the link. And then, and some of your personal experiences truly, you know, inspire me, Prabhuji, because you read the whole Bhagavad Gita in 2 to 3 days. I really cannot imagine that. After hearing that, you know, I really wanted to read Bhagavad Gita at least, you know, within 6 months. That's my goal. That's why I set it up. Thank you so much for the inspiration for that. And also you were reading Bhagavad Gita, you know, 7 times a day, which is also, you know, truly inspirational for me. And also you said that, you know, the highest achievement in life is, you know, gaining the transcendental knowledge. That is the king of education, secret of all secrets. And this point specifically, I like that, Prabhuji, because, you know, I also do very little bit of book distribution. By distributing books, you are advancing others and also yourself, which is really, you know, attracted this very particular point, Prabhuji. And finally, you completed that, you know, the gaining the spiritual knowledge is, you know, traction towards Krishna, which I really liked it more. Every points, every words came out of your mouth today is, you know, really spiritual, and I gain more knowledge. I hope, you know, whoever listened this class also did the same thing. And I would like to, we would love to hear more from you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Kanan Prabhu. Parameshwar Prabhu, thank you very much for your association today, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thanks for tolerating me. You all are so wonderful. I love the format of the class. It's so exalted. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Over to you, Veena Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you, Parmeshwar Prabhu. That was a fantastic class. Very, very nice. Thank you, Kanan Prabhu, for the thank you note. Next, we have Narsimha Aarti. Abhay Prabhu will be singing. Hare Krishna, Abhay Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Namaste Narasimhaya Praladayayine Hiranyakashipuvakshaha Shilatankanakalaye Shilatankanakalaye Ito nashimo parato nashimo Yato yato yami tato nashimo Hridaye nashimo Narasingamadim sharanam prapade Vakara kamalavare nakham abhyuta shringa Lalita hiranyakashipu manobhanga Keshavatita narahari rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Vakara Kamalavare Nakha Abhuta Shringa Lalita Hiranyakashipu Anubhanga Keshavadhita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Keshavadhita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Nashingadev Jaya Nashingadev Jaya Nashingadev Jaya Nashingadev Jaya Narahari Jaya Narahari Jaya Narahari Jaya Narahari Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Bhakta Prahlad. Nrsimhadev Bhagwan ki jai. Bhakti Vigna Vinashak Nrsimhadev Bhagwan ki jai.
Thank you very much, Abhay Prabhu. Thank you, Rohini Mataji, for supporting. Very beautiful Narasimha Bhajan. With that, devotees, we conclude our Gita Jayanti celebrations today. The day is not over yet. It's a very, very auspicious day. So if you all can recite a few verses from Bhagavad Gita, it's going to be extremely auspicious. It's also Ekadashi today, a wonderful day where we can gain a lot of spiritual benefits. And to remind everyone, we have a continuation of our Gita Jayanti celebration on December 18th, Saturday. We will be reciting the entire Bhagavad Gita. We heard from Prabhuji that Gita is so auspicious, and we have the benefit of reciting in the temple in front of the deities. Humbly request all of you all to come to the temple. If not possible, we also have Zoom. And thank you all so much for signing up to recite. Request all of you all to RSVP. With that, we conclude our program today. Thank you all for joining today. Gita Jayanti Mahotsav ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Thank you all devotees. Hare Krishna.